Hi, I'm Peter Kwan, 4455 South 164th in McMicken Heights in SeaTac. And you're probably wondering what is the guy from SeaTac doing over here tonight. Well, I saw this utility tax thing on the agenda, and that concerned me. And it concerns me because I do spend a lot of time in Des Moines. I enjoy the waterfront and all of the shops down there. Very wonderful community. And I wanted to remind everybody here that a common argument is cost of living goes up and taxes go up. Well, what happens in actuality is as cost of living goes up, property values go up and businesses start thriving. So the same percentage of tax that you are currently collecting also goes up even though you don't raise the actual percentage. So what you should do is look at ways to help your community thrive and become successful. And Des Moines property values have actually held very well, even though the economy went down. So another thing that I wanted to share with you was a recent experience that occurred in SeaTac, and this actually happened just last year. We had a utility tax that ended up on the agenda, brand new tax, and normally the city council meetings in SeaTac only have about 2 or 3 citizens attending, and at that particular meeting we had a packed room just like you have here tonight with standing room only, and a lot of citizens came up and expressed their concerns that this was not a good thing to do, and a lot of citizens asked the council to at least put it to a vote and let the citizens decide. And they didn't do that. They passed the tax. So what happened this time around is this election season we replaced 4 of the incumbents with 4 citizens who actually oppose the tax. So please listen to your citizens and at least put it to a vote. Thank you.
Rick Forschler.
Rick Forschler, 13529 Military Road South. I'm also in SeaTac. I know several of you. I was on the City Council in SeaTac previously, along with Peter. I was just elected to City Council this time. I was one of those 4 that he was talking about that replaced incumbents. So I'm going to say a few things. You know, Bob, I've worked with you in the past, and Dave and Tony, I like all of you. I respect you, but I'm going to probably say some things you don't like. I don't know where you stand on this issue, but here goes anyway. So I've worked with water and sewer districts in Washington State for nearly 15 years. I've been on the chair of the technology committee for the State Water and Sewer Association for a little over 10 years. I know these small special purpose districts very well. They operate efficiently. They live within their means. They have rates. They manage that closely. There's very little, if any, waste in those organizations. So now the city staff here will likely tell you that utility taxes are necessary in order to make the budget meet. Please don't believe them, and sorry, Tony. There's long before we consider raising taxes, we should exhaust all other options such as process improvement techniques, competitive contracting, and shared services. So communities all over the country of all political stripes are using competitive contracting to reduce costs without raising taxes and without reducing services. In fact, there are very few services that cities perform which are not already been successfully contracted, and when communities use competitive contracting services wisely, they typically save from 10 to 30% of those costs. This is neither a conservative or liberal cause. It's truly nonpartisan, and it's all about maximizing value for the people. For example, one of the first things that Rahm Emanuel did in Chicago was to break the city into zones for recycling program. In some zones, the city continued to provide that service, while in others, he brought in managed competition from the private sector. After the first 6 months, they saved $2 million, and interestingly, the competition forced the city workers in the other zones to reduce their costs by 35%. When Pontiac, Michigan was at risk of bankruptcy, an emergency manager was sent in by the governor, and they contracted out 20 of their services. They cut their general fund expenditures in half. In late 2012, okay, let me skip that one.
Rick, you need to wrap up.
That's why I'm skipping that. So I gave basically the same set of comments to the SeaTac City Council last year. They ignored them. They imposed a utility tax in 2015. However, the citizens of SeaTac changed their plans. This election cycle, we replaced 4 incumbents, and the major reason was utility taxes. Now, I have nothing against you folks, but can the voters in the room raise your hands, please? Okay, write down the name Rick Forschler, and if these folks impose that utility tax, contact Rick and SeaTac, and I'll help you do the same thing that we did in SeaTac. Okay, I'm sorry, but we need to protect these small districts. They do well, they work efficiently, and you're doing a disservice to your citizens if you don't consider these other alternatives for saving money first. Thank you.
The last thing I want to speak to is comments by a couple council members elect from a city that people who don't even live here. You know, Rick, I have a great deal of respect for you, but Des Moines is not SeaTac. We don't have a bunch of hotels. We don't have a parking tax. We don't have a $30 million a year budget like you do. Okay? We don't have the same economic base. For you to come in and tell us what we need to do for our city and our citizens and the services we provide is ludicrous. It was our city that took the steps forward to get the SCORE jail built. Why? Because it saves us $350,000 a year on our jail costs. We took the initiative on pushing that through in working with Penny Bartley from Renton and a couple other cities. It was our city that took the lead on it. I get frustrated with people who really don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to the finances of the city, coming in and telling us. We've had these conversations publicly in public forums year after year after year about our financial condition. So I don't appreciate you coming into our city and telling us how we should be conducting our business. I wouldn't presume to do the same thing in yours. And I hope that you and Mr. Kwan will keep that in mind when you take office in January. No, Bob?
Wait till you're done.
Well, honestly, it's 8:26, and we have a lot on our agenda.
No, I just want to pick up on one thing because I neglected to say it, and I really badly wanted to. I've been on this council for 20 years, and as you might imagine, I have seen, fortunately, my last day is the end of this year. I have seen a lot of political tricks and a lot of politicians that think they're really hot and really aren't. But I think the most disgusting thing, I got to agree with this, the most disgusting thing that I've seen any politician do was what Mr. Forschler did this evening. Imagine if we were to go over to SeaTac and do that. How would they think of us as a neighbor? Then they are our neighbor. We're supposed to be getting along with them. Now, I think there's going to be quite a problem between the City of Des Moines and SeaTac over Mr. Forschler. So ask yourself.
They're here to help us because we're in trouble.
No, they're not here to help you. That's a political stunt. Apparently, you guys hasn't been around very long. That is a political stunt. So you ask yourself, what is Mr. Forschler really doing? He's got some other ambitions. He's got some other agenda. You never come into another person's city and do what he did. That's disgusting. I could say more on him, but my anger level is too high. They're not here to help us or anybody.